Hello, I'm Yonden Lhatoo, still alive and kicking at the South China Morning Post. It's not like the world is waiting with bated breath, but we've entered the home stretch for this year's Nobel Peace Prize. And there's a bit of a buzz as to whether Hong Kong's anti-government protesters should be crowned laureates. It would be a politically charged China-bashing choice by the Norwegian Nobel Committee that decides this much-vaunted trophy. And it would tie in nicely with the ongoing crusade against all things Chinese by the US and its loyal Western vassal states. The groundwork for this blatant provocation has already been laid. Usually bitterly split along party lines on any and every issue, American lawmakers are pathologically united when it comes to vilifying and attacking Beijing in the name of supporting Hong Kong's rights and freedoms. So a bipartisan bunch of them earlier this year nominated the city's protest movement for the prize. There's no mention, of course, of the sickening mob violence and appalling anarchy that swept Hong Kong last year in the name of democracy. Nothing about the vigilante attacks directed at anyone who objected to the chaos, the rioting, the vandalism, the wrecking of public property and businesses, the petrol bomb attacks, and the mass celebration of mob rule. There's no doubt that the majority of the millions who took to the streets last year protested peacefully and can't be placed in the same category as the masked, helmeted, black-clad radicals responsible for all the burnings and beatings. But there's also a troubling cognitive dissonance in awarding them a Nobel Prize for peace while ignoring their own confessed culpability in supporting the extremism, in maintaining a united front and resolutely refusing to condemn the street violence because the end would somehow justify the means. If they nevertheless deserve to be lionized as Nobel laureates because of their noble campaign for greater democracy, then what about the American protesters currently fighting for racial equality? Isn't the Black Lives Matter cause just as praiseworthy and prizeworthy? No, you say? Why? Because it would be dishonest and disingenuous to ignore the darker side of the BLM movement. It would be hypocritical to gloss over all the rampant rioting, widespread looting, and murderous gun violence in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Well, walk a mile in Hong Kong's shoes then. Just like their government officials and politicians, many US media outlets, leftist or right-wing, liberal or conservative, set aside their ideological differences to unanimously hail Hong Kong's protesters as heroes and portray every effort by authorities here to restore law and order as state repression. How ironic to see them now hit by the same paradoxes that this city struggled with, confronted by the same demons in reporting both the commendable and despicable aspects of their own protests. What was clearly black and white for them when it came to Hong Kong is suddenly several shades of gray in America. How do you like them apples? The latest media reports cite data from a liberal think tank claiming that 93% of protests in the US have been peaceful and non-destructive. If that's true, surely the BLM people merit the same recognition that their counterparts in Hong Kong do. If the Norwegian Nobel Committee is sincere about awarding the Peace Prize to this city's protesters, it should have the gumption to name their US counterparts as joint recipients. That is, if it also wants to retain a shred of credibility, if it wants to prove that the trophy is not a shamelessly political tool, devoid of the gravitas still commanded by its sister awards for scientific and academic advancement. That would require a real sense of fair play, though, as it would be a slap in the face for US President Donald Trump. He has not only condemned protesting Americans as thugs, terrorists, and losers, but has himself been nominated for the Peace Prize and is a direct competitor. And he doesn't like to lose, remember. Oh well, they gave it to Barack Obama for doing absolutely nothing. So why not Trump?